Story 1. Pretty much any public-facing jobs where interaction with the public is a daily occurrence have a higher likelihood of encountering difficult individuals. Story 2. All types of cleaning staff play a crucial role in various settings. In hospitals, they are essential. In schools, operations would struggle without them. In public spaces, they enhance everyone's quality of life. While it may not be a high-status position, it provides significant social value. Story 3. Truckers. I admit I am guilty of this. If they weren't long-hauling goods, the luxuries we enjoy wouldn't be available. Story 4. Veterinarians go to school for years, learning about multiple systems and issues, only to be called greedy scam artists by their patients' owners. Story 5. Mail carriers work in every kind of weather, including ice storms. We often get yelled at for not having a package to deliver. Many people think we are paid by taxpayers. When we make a mistake, some believe we deserve severe punishment. Never ends. I go out of my way for my customers, yet they sometimes accuse me of stealing their belongings. It's frustrating how difficult our jobs are. We received a raise in November but had to pay it back in December due to a computer glitch. Because of their mistake, our checks were cut during Christmas. I don't think anyone who doesn't work for the Postal Service can understand the challenges we face. Story 6. Fast food workers often face unfair judgment from those with more money who consider their jobs easy and believe they are overpaid. In reality, fast food jobs pay very little. Workers must be quick and precise while being closely monitored by managers. It is unfortunate that some individuals try to elevate themselves by belittling others, including fast food employees. Story 7. Healthcare workers face a disturbingly high rate of assault. For anyone who watched The Pit on Max, the storyline where a nurse is punched in the face by an angry patient is unfortunately very realistic. Story 8. Government employees do more than you realize with limited pay and resources. The government you may criticize consists of political leaders, while the employees simply follow instructions. Story 9. Teachers are doing their best, but they have no funding to support their efforts. I doubt you would even want to supervise your own children for 8 hours, let alone teach them. Story 10. Minimum wage jobs are often criticized as insufficient for a decent living, despite the reality that if every minimum wage worker went on strike, the country would face significant disruptions. Story 11. Physicians often encounter challenging situations, but the majority work diligently to reach their current positions and are committed to caring for you and your loved ones. Story 12. Social workers are often portrayed negatively in television shows and movies. Many people are unaware of the important role they play, including how they have assisted individuals or families in hospitals or other facilities. That is just the beginning of their contributions. Story 13. Lifeguards. The number of people who were not only perfectly content but also willing to engage in daily conflicts to permit their children to enter dangerous situations was always astounding. Story 14. People can be quite disrespectful towards certified nursing assistants. I have heard comments like glorified caregiver that truly belittle the knowledge and skills required to be a nursing aide. Taking vital signs, administering medications, providing companionship to those who are dying, dealing with deceased individuals, and knowing how to operate oxygen tanks are all part of the job. I recall a situation when someone fell, and there was blood everywhere. Although I no longer work in the field, it is a solid job that deserves greater respect. Story 15. Nursing involves facing challenging situations where patients may behave aggressively and disrespectfully. The most difficult aspects of humanity can emerge during times of suffering. Story 16. Prostitution. I don't understand why people hate a profession that doesn't affect them in any way. If you don't agree with it, simply don't engage. Just let them be. Story 17. Dentists have a high rate of suicide because many people say they dislike visiting them. Thank you, dentists. I may not love everything that needs to be done, but I appreciate that you do it anyway. Story 18. Government workers are individuals who strive to help others and make a positive impact on people's lives through their careers. I observe protests in front of government offices and negative portrayals of government workers in the media. as if they are responsible for decisions they did not make. The decision makers are politicians. Please do not blame those who must implement a politician's decisions, regardless of their personal opinions on the matter. Story 19. Teachers are grossly underpaid for the responsibilities they have. I had hoped the pandemic would teach people the value of educators, but it went in the opposite direction. I am convinced that some people choose ignorance. Story 20. Call center representatives. It's interesting how people behave when they cannot see you or know they will never have to interact with you again. Story 21. Teachers are there to educate your children about the subject matter, not to distribute participation awards or assign passing grades when a student has failed to understand a topic or put in any effort on their schoolwork. Parents are often quick to criticize teachers for any reason, simply because they are fulfilling their professional responsibilities. Story 22. The trades period. I will never understand why people think it is a lower tier of employment. Tradespeople have the stability and growth opportunities that most people seek. Story 23. Probably mechanics. A lot of the suspicion that they are taking advantage of you comes from not knowing much about how your car works. Take some time to learn how to do an oil change, replace wheel bearings, or fix other common issues. You do not need to become a mechanic yourself, but understanding the work involved helps you make more informed decisions when you are paying for repairs. Story 24. IT workers are often blamed when things do not work. When everything is functioning properly, we hear comments like, "Nothing is ever broken. Why do I even pay you? If everything is working smoothly, then I am performing my job well." Story 25. For every lawyer whose position you dislike, there is another lawyer on the opposing side trying to counter them. Story 26. Flaggers in traffic control are often overlooked, yet they play a vital role in ensuring safety on the roads. I was compelled to take this job as it was my only opportunity at the time, compounded by debt and living with someone from the company I was hired by. Ironically, I developed a love-hate relationship with the job. It was a challenging experience that toughened me significantly. Flaggers are often the unsung heroes of the trades, receiving little recognition for their crucial work. Whenever work is conducted near roadways, such as power line maintenance, road repairs, or water main projects, flaggers are essential to the process. I fully understand the frustration of drivers who are delayed, especially when they are already late. I recall instances where people became upset with me for holding them up for just 2 minutes, all while I was managing traffic for 12 hours without a break. Unfortunately, breaks are a rare luxury because someone must maintain order amid the chaos. Beyond traffic control, the role includes meeting with crews, preparing pre-work site safety sheets, ensuring everyone is informed, and establishing hand signals, as communication can be challenging without radios. This field can also be a lucrative opportunity, particularly for women. It is predominantly female but offers pay comparable to construction roles. In my area, a 3-day course costs around $300, concluding with an open book test and a practical evaluation. This path can also lead to working with a city crew, an opportunity one sometimes wish I had pursued over attending university. The colleagues I worked with became like a second family to me. I could recount countless stories about the unusual experiences I've encountered, the chaos I navigated, and the heartbreak that often accompanies dealing with the public. My time as a flagger lasted 3 years, but I gained a lifetime of experience. I advanced from a typical flagger to leading setups and strategizing daily operations, eventually working on highway projects. While I may have painted an overly positive picture of flaggers, it's important to acknowledge that not everyone in the field is exemplary. Many struggle with addiction, yet there are also many commendable individuals in the industry. Just like in any profession, there are both outstanding and subpar workers. Story 27. There are probably many good police officers, but the negative actions of a few can overshadow the entire force. Imagine trying to do your job by preventing crime, only to be met with contempt and insults from people who harbor a general disdain for your role. Story 28. IRS workers are underfunded as a whole, so they can only focus on small businesses versus large corporations. However, for each dollar they spend investigating abuse and tax evasion, they bring in exponentially more in revenue. Story 29. Farmers represent less than 1.5% of the population, and we grow food for every American and many others around the world. We make a living on paper-thin margins and often lose money. Most farmers in the United States generate less than $50,000 in gross sales per year, which refers to gross income, not net. Many farmers work a second full-time job in town just to keep their farms operational. We are not involved in any grand conspiracy with agricultural companies, nor are we harming your next hamburger or glass of milk. The vast majority of farmers remain in agriculture because we love being caretakers of our land and animals. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and very few of us receive the substantial government checks that many believe we do. It is a tough business, but we are here because we are passionate about the lifestyle. Not everything revolves around money. Story 30. Lawyers, especially defense attorneys and public defenders, play a crucial role in the legal system. Everyone is entitled to a defense, regardless of personal opinions about their character. You will appreciate the work they do if you ever face false accusations or find yourself needing assistance within the legal system. Story 31. I'm a phlebotomist at a major hospital, and I work the night shift. If your medical team orders labs, it usually means it's necessary for me to be there drawing your blood. I've worked hard to become skilled enough to obtain the sample on the first try about 98% of the time. However, I often feel looked at and spoken to as if it's the highlight of my day to cause discomfort to these patients. I'm just doing my job. Story 32. Anything where you deal with the public or are open to public scrutiny. We all do strange or inappropriate things, mostly harmless, but definitely not normal or beyond criticism. If there are people eager to undermine you, you can be sure that there will be a spotlight on your worst traits. Story 33. The handyman trades, including plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, can lose their license due to poor work. They always work to code when they are putting a stamp on something. They are not trying to take advantage of you. Think of them like your dentist. You may not fully understand what you are looking at when a problem arises, but you should trust their professional opinions to avoid further issues. Story 34. Honestly, any no-skill or entry-level job is valid. Think of retail, fast food, and customer support. I used to work in retail, and people often look down on those jobs. Retail workers stock shelves, receive products on the loading dock, and operate registers. I've seen people treat older workers even worse, often using the phrase, "You're 50 and still working in retail." Maybe that should tell you something. However, those people fail to consider that someone has to do these jobs. If retail workers didn't exist, you wouldn't be able to easily pick up a hot chicken, milk, bread, or any of the other essentials we often take for granted. Story 35. Teachers are expected to raise perfect children, manage overcrowded classrooms, deal with underfunded systems, and handle abuse from students and parents, all while being underpaid and told they have summers off. Most are just trying to help the next generation survive in a broken system. Story 36. Criminal defense lawyers ensure that everyone receives fair treatment under the law, as not everyone who is arrested is a criminal. Story 37. Teachers face blame from many parents for their children's behavior. Instead of taking responsibility, some parents assume their child is an angel, while teachers manage 25 students and strive to get through the day. Story 38. Social workers face immense challenges in their profession. If people truly understood the judgments they are expected to make and the additional responsibilities they must manage, tasks that fall outside of traditional social work due to a lack of support staff funded by councils, they would be outraged. Social workers often carry caseloads that exceed the safe practice guidelines, leaving them in a difficult position where they are criticized regardless of their actions. Story 39. Childcare professionals are often criminally underpaid and perceived merely as babysitters, which undermines the value of early education. In many countries, especially in Scandinavian nations, the importance of early childhood education and development for ages 0 to 6 is recognized. However, in the United States, there is a significant lack of respect and investment in early education, which is disheartening. The Heckman equation, which discusses the return on investment in childcare within communities, is a fascinating topic that remains largely overlooked. Story 40. Sex workers have always existed. Men have consistently paid for sexual services, so why is it still considered taboo? Why isn't it legal? As a woman, I don't fully understand it, but I acknowledge their existence, that they can earn significant income, and that men do pay for sex. While I recognize that people of all genders can pay for sex, they are not the majority of users. So, why isn't it simply legal, and why aren't there specific places where people can work safely? Story 41. Mechanics are required to be electrical engineers, software engineers, welders, diagnosticians, and sometimes mechanics. Unfortunately, they are often paid the least among skilled trades and receive the least respect. When a plumber informs you that you need to spend $6,000, you may feel upset, but you tend to pay. Conversely, when a mechanic tells you the same, you may label them a thief and consider having a friend's relative fix it for a fraction of the cost. Story 42. Salespeople. You would be surprised by the number of IT managers who are overpaying by hundreds of thousands or even millions of pounds because they do not engage with salespeople. If I were running those companies and discovered how much money they were wasting, I would be quite shocked. Story 43. Definitely, there are many police officers out there trying to make a difference and doing their best while dealing with the worst of people. They work long hours, and on top of that, most of the public dislikes them. Story 44. Unemployed individuals do less harm than bailed-out bankers and corporate politicians. People relying on government support should receive more than those causing societal harm if meritocracy were truly valued. Anyone criticizing them is simply exhibiting the idea that misery loves company. It's important to recognize that those who harm society deserve less compensation than those who contribute nothing. Story 45. Public defenders, if true crime comments are any gauge, play a crucial role. Somebody has to do it, and providing the best defense possible prevents openings for an appeal. Story 46. Parking ticket officers often park their vehicles in restricted areas while issuing tickets. Story 47. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but car salespeople have one of the few jobs where customers walk in with a built-in dislike. It is their job to try to make you like them in order to facilitate a sale. While there are certainly unscrupulous individuals in the industry, this phenomenon occurs in all walks of life. The key difference here is that you are often spending thousands of dollars, which intensifies feelings of animosity. Sometimes a salesperson earns a $150 commission. Other times it can soar to $1,500. There are months when they make $15,000, and other times when their earnings dip below minimum wage. This profession actively encourages customers to misrepresent themselves, making the process more difficult and drawn out. Some salespeople work 6 to 7 days a week for 8 to 12 hours a day, earning very little, all while maintaining a friendly demeanor. Unfortunately, blame frequently falls on the salesperson. Don't like the list price? Blame the salesperson. Ruined your credit and now have a high interest rate? Blame the salesperson. Your vehicle broke down 6 months after purchase? Blame the salesperson. Have a $10,000 claim and your trade-in is worth less? Blame the salesperson. There's no money left in the deal for add-ons? Blame the salesperson. Missed a loan payment because it was a long weekend? Blame the salesperson. The car you hesitated on sold because you didn't want to rush your decision? Blame the salesperson. Ignored the oil change light and expect same-day service and transportation across the city? Blame the salesperson. Many issues are beyond the control of the salesperson. Yet, people seek a villain to direct their frustrations toward when things go awry. Social conditioning often leads to an innate dislike of salespeople, regardless of whether they earn $200 or $6,000 on a high-demand vehicle. There is a reason the car sales industry has 3 times the national turnover rate. It is a challenging job. However, it is also one of the few non-physical roles that allows individuals with just a high school education to potentially earn $250,000 a year, though earnings can also drop to $40,000. It's a tough gig that requires resilience. Story 48. Sports officials are expected to get every call right. Mess up once and the whole stadium is screaming. Story 49. Dentists often hear from patients about their dislike for visits. which can lead to them feeling underappreciated. After extensive schooling, some people still regard them as less of a doctor compared to physicians. Dentists strive to help maintain oral health, as tooth loss can significantly impact a person's quality of life. Story 50. I may receive criticism for this, but parking enforcement is essential. They are just doing their jobs. Imagine if no one enforced rules. There would be chaos all around town with people parking in the middle of the street. Yes, it is frustrating to receive a ticket, especially one that seems unjustified, but at the end of the day, they are also human beings, and many take this job out of necessity. Story 51. Any job related to the oil or hydrocarbon industry is essential. People are often uninformed about how much they depend on it for every convenience in their lives. Yet they criticize it. Story 52. Exotic dancers are often labeled negatively, referred to as drug users, unlovable, and in extreme cases, are viewed as abusive parents. This stigma exists despite the fact that this profession can, in some cases, significantly improve women's lives. Men are celebrated for visiting strip clubs for bachelor parties or during divorces, while the women providing those services face shame. Many dancers I know are there by choice, love their job, earn a good income, are married, have children, volunteer, travel the world, and pay taxes. While I acknowledge that not all dancers have the same experiences and some may feel they have no other choice, I believe that if the stigma surrounding this profession were reduced, it would be easier to provide necessary resources and support to those women rather than shaming them when they are already in difficult situations. Story 53. Dentists work in non-profit organizations and carry significant student loan debt. When I tell you that you need a crown, I'm not trying to make a big purchase. I'm just trying to address a problem I didn't create. I don't want to cause you discomfort with shots and extractions. Like everyone else, I'm just looking to resolve issues and return home to my dog. Story 54. Defense lawyers play a crucial role in upholding the principles of justice. As a society, we must acknowledge that everyone has the right to a fair trial and should be treated as innocent until proven guilty. It is concerning that some individuals attack defense lawyers for their efforts in maintaining these vital principles. Story 55. Police officers face an incredibly high-stress, dangerous, and thankless job. People only pay attention when they make a mistake. Most police officers are dedicated professionals and good individuals. However, a few power-hungry individuals gain attention on social media, leading to broad generalizations about the entire profession. Story 56. Escorts are essential in a society that makes monogamy the norm. They should be able to unionize and be eligible for benefits such as health care. Story 57. Honestly, police officers deal with the worst people daily and are universally disliked because they enforce the rules. I'm not saying all police officers are exemplary, but I'm sure the good ones certainly deal with more challenges than they should. Story 58. We are discussing men and women who put their lives on the line every day for their community. Even when faced with criticism, they continue to serve, charging forward toward danger instead of away from it. Are there bad actors? Of course there are. If you have been alive longer than a decade, you know that there are individuals with issues in every profession. The courage and selflessness required to willingly put your life at stake is truly inspiring. Acknowledgement to my local police department and all they have done for our community. I want to clarify that I am not a police officer nor am I associated with them. I am simply responding to the original post earnestly. Story 59. Contractors at a unionized work site. We are here because you turned down the work and continue to give us trouble. Story 60. Military. As someone involved, trust me, we do not need any additional negativity on top of the leadership challenges, backstabbing, unfairness, and difficulties we already face. Story 61. Traffic wardens. Those individuals are not as bad as everyone believes they are. Story 62. Do you like having a functional government, lowering the federal deficit, and ensuring billionaires pay their fair share? Me too. That's why the people who work for the Internal Revenue Service are not the bad guys. If you're upset that your tax dollars are being spent on war or tax cuts for the wealthy, consider blaming the corrupt elected officials instead of those responsible for making sure the numbers add up. Story 63. Lawyers often face disparagement in popular culture, particularly in police procedurals, where a suspect requesting legal representation is frequently portrayed as guilty. This reflects a broader issue of propaganda. Police institutions in the United States have historically collaborated with television and film production to influence content, often to enhance their image. If you find yourself in custody, it is essential to seek legal representation. Story 64. Teachers. I know educators. I have grown up around them. What Fox News and groups like Moms for Liberty have done to the American education system is beyond disgusting and totally unforgivable. Story 65. Sanitation workers do not receive enough respect, and their career is often viewed negatively. In reality, they play a crucial role in keeping everyone safe and healthy. Story 66. I will present a controversial perspective that is often overlooked. Broadcast meteorologists. Consider this. You are required to learn advanced mathematics, physics, and fluid dynamics, all while developing the ability to communicate complex information clearly and simply. Your audience must understand it as if it were presented at a third-grade level. Then, you find yourself working unpredictable shifts that can change at a moment's notice. You are expected to perform the same tasks as other journalists, such as covering stories, while also acting as the station's science expert and staying up to date on various topics. Furthermore, you must make a weather forecast for one of the most complex systems on the planet within an extremely limited time frame, often just half an hour. People often mention the fame and appreciation that comes with the job. However, they overlook the overwhelming amount of hate mail, threats, stalking, and conspiracy theories you may encounter, not to mention the current political landscape affecting the profession. Even if you are accurate 95% of the time, critics will focus on the 5% when you are wrong within a specific area, sometimes just a 1-mile radius. Additionally, the harassment directed toward women in the field is alarming. I have seen emails sent to colleagues that would be considered excessive even by the most extreme online communities. This issue remains unspoken because your image is essentially owned by the company while you are under contract, which extends to your social media presence. It is astonishing that this topic is not discussed more frequently, especially given the harsh nature of these contracts. Story 67. Despite the criticism from the current administration, air traffic controllers are working tirelessly to keep us safe. It is a highly stressful job. Story 68. Any minimum wage profession that parents or adults are in can be meaningful. My mom is a lunch lady and absolutely loves her job. So why would someone make fun of her for doing something she enjoys? Story 69. Teachers. There are still too many people who think teachers are the problem. Some believe that teachers are overpaid, enjoy excessive time off, and have jobs from which they cannot be easily dismissed. Story 70. Lawyers. I think most lawyer hatred comes from cop shows and other American propaganda that portrays a picture of evil, sneaky lawyers going against good Uncle Sam, who is just trying to help you. Story 71. Most hatred towards lawyers seems to stem from television shows and other American media portraying them as sneaky individuals pitted against the well-meaning government, which is just trying to help citizens. Story 72. Parking enforcement officers are responsible for enforcing rules to maintain order on the streets. Receiving a ticket can be frustrating, but often we are aware that we are taking a risk. Story 73. My mother is a lawyer. Honestly, it is a challenging job with long hours and significant time spent at a computer trying to resolve everyone's issues. It is nothing like how it is portrayed in the movies. I dislike the perception that lawyers are cold or wealthy and that they enjoy taking advantage of people. No one would choose that profession if it weren't well-paying, and it often does not pay as well as people assume, given the time and education required. Lawyers are extremely important. Every career fulfills a need that people have. Story 74. Professional wrestling involves individuals who put their bodies on the line night after night. Despite criticism that it is fake, many still enjoy watching it, often while binging a 9-hour marathon of their favorite shows. Story 75. Group home workers often face challenges, as families may feel guilty about not being able to care for their relatives. leading them to become overly critical of the care provided. Caregivers can spend long hours performing difficult tasks, such as cleaning and managing difficult behaviors, yet they may be met with complaints about minor issues, like how a client's clothes are folded or the way food is prepared. Clients often struggle to communicate their gratitude, while families may quickly express their frustrations. Caregivers soon realize that they could earn similar wages in less stressful environments, highlighting the demanding nature of this essential work. Story 76. My ex-brother-in-law was a lawyer, and because of him, along with a lawyer I hired for a personal injury case and a couple of others I have dealt with, I have lost respect for lawyers. Story 77. Anything related to eligibility must adhere to a specific set of guidelines. The individual assessing eligibility for a service or program does not make decisions impulsively, yet they often face a significant amount of criticism. Story 78. Restaurant and fast food employees, along with retail workers, often face a lack of patience and respect for the work they do, especially given their pay. Story 79. Journalists do valuable work in informing people about events in their communities, despite the fact that some may not uphold the highest ethical standards. Story 80. My sister is a social worker in child protection services and faces abuse and threats from her clients daily. Additionally, there is often judgment when she shares her profession, as many perceive her role as taking children away from their families. Story 81. Lawyers. Everyone makes jokes about how unkind and ruthless they are until you need one. Then you are truly grateful they are there. Story 82. My sister works for child protection services. She dedicates her life to helping children, yet people often see child protection services as the bad guy. It is one of the most difficult jobs. All she does is help troubled children, yet she faces negativity. Stay strong, sis. Story 83. Council workers. The majority of them either agree with public issues or can do nothing about the complaints because different departments exist. Story 84. News media professionals who choose this career and remain committed are not motivated by money or fame, as there is little to be found in this field. They are dedicated to helping others by utilizing their skills. Story 85. Lawyers have their incentives, but sometimes it feels like they are the only thing standing between us and total authoritarianism. Story 86. Chiropractors have a 95% satisfaction rating from their patients, which is the highest satisfaction rating of any healthcare professional. Story 87. Lawyers are somewhat influenced by television. They are required to be zealous advocates for their clients. This is the foundation of their role as a lawyer. Story 88. Lawyers often protect individuals from larger and more powerful companies, which contributes to their negative portrayal in the media. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.